Are you kidding me? I didn't say that. That right there. Wasn't me.
He's back here, wants to regain his title. Eddie Fiola.
Hi, my name's Eddie Fiola, and you're watching the BMX channel. Anyhow, somebody brought up my name. Somebody sent me a video and said, hey, these guys are talking about you. I'm going, what are they saying? I'm going, well, they're kind of saying that you got an attitude. I'm going, wait, really? Really? I gotta watch his video. So anyhow, I find out that it's Scotty Kramer. Scotty, you are awesome. You're still awesome. You went through a traumatic injury that I'm so glad you're up and walking around and moving and doing these YouTube videos. It's great. And there's also, you're interviewing Fish Johnson, and that I met not too long ago, or not, a couple years ago, but we went out and we rode, and I remember this specifically, that we went to the skate park, and him and his lady came out, and his lady was somewhere else, and then he came with me, and we went to the park, and he rolled in, and front wheel slid out and went straight to his shoulder, and so I pretty much broke his collarbone. I didn't break his collarbone. He broke his own collarbone, but because he went to the park with me, I consider me breaking his collarbone. So sorry, Fish. Anyhow, we're gonna watch this video and see what it's about.
We're finally doing the old school video, and you guys are about to hear the most influential riders of the 1980s. It's going to be my little brother Maddie and also Fish on a Bike, who actually lived through the 80s. So let's get straight into it.
Jay Mirren absolutely destroyed me in a flatland contest once.
Really?
Like,
so you went against him? Like
it was a local contest in Seattle.
Wow, that's pretty
and
cool.
And he lived in Vancouver for a little while with my friend Alan. They were roommates and would ride together all the time. Alan was a vert rider, and they would be riding. They would ride a lot. So Jay Mirren just came down to this contest and actually pulled a 900 in the half pipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then he rode flat too?
And he rode flat and street. He did a 720. We had this box jump for the street contest. Street, I mean, it was what it was, but it was kind of a jumping contest. The main obstacle was a box jump, but this box jump was like 4 feet wide. It was just 4 feet wide.
That's what we
deck,
had.
4 foot wide landing. I mean, it was all just straightforward. Yeah. And he did a 720 over it, and it was just like,
there's no like longer than the.
What year was it?
This was 90, I think.
So who was the first 900?
I think it was. I think this was 90. Hoffman
was in.
At least Hoffman.
Year, though.
Right?
Hoffman.
Yeah, that was like
89,
late
I think.
90s.
At least first.
Late 90s.
You know what,
in a contest.
Well, early 90s actually.
Like,
We started getting out of it around the. I got out of it around
But there's
88.
no footage of it.
Okay, so is that the
It's
lie?
word, and I do believe that there are some people that have said, "Oh, I saw it. I was there," but it's never really been like cemented in. You know, I think a lot of people will put like Matt Hoffman first 900 asterisk, like first 900 at a contest, witnessed by everybody, and then of course there's, I mean, and it's totally believable that Mike did it first. When you see the one that he almost pulls at the end of,
it's Mike Dominguez though. It's not like you're not going to be like, yeah, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah, you're like
right.
Tony from
Such
the
a hard
neighborhood.
hit.
pulled the 900
Yeah, and
10 years ago, we're
Mike
like,
doing
yeah,
a.
dude, my buddy Rick totally was
Yeah.
full of 900s in 1985.
So that's why.
And he had a
540?
16-pound bike.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, come on now, forget about it. We do have a bit of a structure here. We were supposed to do an 80s video of talking about the most important riders in BMX because the truth is, I started riding in 1995. Maddie started.
wasn't there.
Yeah, Maddie was born in 97. Okay, so by the time he started riding, you know, it was well into the 2000s. Fish, you started riding when?
1986.
Wow, that was the same year that Rad came out. That's
yes.
so cool.
Yes.
He started
That
riding
that
in
pretty pivotal.
1986.
I was already very interested in riding by that point, but Rad came out, and it was like, oh no, it's on.
So did it
like
have,
I need
like
to do
when Rad
this.
came out, did it have like a pop culture kind of feel to it where like it was out in the open, or was it still feeling underground? Because it's not like the movie like sold a ton of
Like,
things.
was it a big movie that featured BMX, or was it just like
When
a?
I went to the
No,
movies
it-
to
I
watch
mean,
the movie Rad,
You know, I mean, as it is
it was
now,
me and my
I mean,
7
as far
friends.
as a box office.
that was it. Nobody else in the
success,
theater.
I don't think it really was.
It wasn't.
It
Nobody,
became a cult
unless you were
classic.
riding a bike,
Years
you didn't
later,
go watch that movie.
People started kind of latching on to it, and especially the BMX community, like just for.
You started watching the
I don't
movie
know,
when it
and
came
I-
out on video
I
rentals.
can't speak to how a lot of other like established riders felt about it at the time, but when it came out for me, like people clown on others that go to the movies by themselves. I didn't care whatsoever. I'm going to see this movie. I'm going by myself. I don't.
And when it did
doesn't
come out
faze me
on video
whatsoever.
rentals,
So cool.
And
the
that
way
was
that
the-
he went and saw
I
it.
know.
some people
There's
just
no
never
movie
returned
theater,
it,
yeah.
and so they
No,
kept
when-
the tape.
And that was the
You
first
couldn't
time I
buy the
actually
you couldn't
was
buy a
able to
VHS
experience,
tape.
like seeing
They
freestyle
weren't available.
happening in
They didn't
motion
sell them
and not just in
to
still
anybody.
images.
Oh yeah, because like
They,
remember
they
it.
only
That was like
rented
the first
them.
like, kind of video stuff
So
you've
if you
seen.
had
you
one,
got, like seeing like rock
you
pro
never
riders
returned
and
it.
stuff
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
their thing.
You paid for
Yeah,
it then.
that was the,
That was the only way you
and
had
what blew
one.
my mind because I would always see like these still images or even a sequence, but it was like a sequence, and so it's almost like imagine somebody doing the robot.
No
You know,
way.
where doing the robot looks a lot different than like, you know, that how
Very
like
good explanation.
so all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, that is so smooth. Like seeing these tricks and seeing an infinity
That's me
roll
on
and
the
a
white
Megaspin or
bike.
whatever. It's like
Yellow shoes.
Oh my gosh, that
white
looks
pants.
so awesome.
That's Martin in the background.
And I look so janky.
But what's interesting to me is like that the amount of people that, because you know BMX started in an area. It's not like it started like in multiple areas all at once. Like people had to have seen it in the magazine and been inspired to do it. So what's crazy to me is that it got that many people riding just from seeing a photo of it and then
Yeah.
you know continuing on and learning stuff.
The
That's
movie
right.
helped
Interesting.
bring
Right,
BMX
right. And I
to
think
life.
there might have been some spread through just BMX racing. Because of
True,
course
yeah.
that's a huge influence. It crossed over from BMX racing to, hey, we could do, you know, some tricks with this. And then of course there was the BMX Action Trick Team, which would show up at, I mean, I don't know how many nationals they rode at, but I know that there
I
was
saw
there
the
were times
BMX
when
and
Action
who's the
Trick
BMX
Team.
Action
I saw the
So
Aro
BMX
Trick
Action Trick
Team.
Team.
I saw the
to my knowledge, started
Mountain
with
Dew
Arl
Trick
Osborne and
Team.
Mike
The
Buff.
Mountain Dew Trick Team
And that was for a
consisted
lot
of
of
Perry
riders.
Kramer.
That they laid the
Um,
blueprint.
and I can't
That
remember
was
the other two
inspiration.
guys,
This is what a freestyle show should look
right
like.
off
This is what's
the
possible.
bat, but,
this is, you know,
You
wowing
know, the ramps that
crowd.
we were
And,
using,
wow, I
or
wanna
they
do
were
that
using,
too.
were
And so
so
that got the ball
Stone
rolling, I
Age.
think, and inspired
You
a lot
know,
of
the
people.
transitions
Well, I really
weren't
like that it
smooth. I
started
mean,
is because
it was
we were
2 by
talking
4
about the most
transitions,
influential riders of the '80s, and the two names that you just said.
and
right
eventually
away.
they just got
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
that's
so many people
Mike
wanted
Buff,
to be them. They would have
Mike
the
Buff doing the
uniform
cross up.
like them and
R.L.
set up their
Osborne.
bikes to look the same or try. I mean, they would just emulate them as much as possible.
Yeah, so they played a crucial role in
Oh,
starting
yeah.
freestyle.
Yes.
Insane. So I'm glad that we got to talk about that.
For sure,
there.
for sure.
Now, would you say that those riders influenced other pro riders, like that became
Oh,
you
they
know,
for sure
very
did.
big in the sport, like pretty shortly after that?
I think so. I would say so. Definitely. Definitely. But then they
Like,
just
I
kind of went
was
on.
looking
and
at the
that's
magazines
great
before I
thing.
got in the
And one of the
magazines.
things I love most about freestyle is it's so, it's freestyle. Like everyone had their own riding style.
And that was
it's
the
still
best part
very
about
much like
freestyle.
that.
It was one bike that did
so
everything.
often
I mean, like,
when,
we didn't
you know,
have
if you're
freestyle bikes.
riding,
You took your
watching
race bike
pro
and you
comp, you're
rode it
watching the riders
to the dirt
and
shop.
they
You
are
rode
out
it
there
in the swimming pools.
and-
You rode it riding a half pipe.
I mean,
or,
I can't do it so
you
much
know,
nowadays, but still,
everything.
If
So
I see
one
Logan
bike
Martin
did everything
on the course,
and because it
he's
wasn't
like,
racing,
they don't have
it
to
was
show his name.
freestyle.
It's
Yeah,
like, there's
right
Logan
away
Martin.
you're
He's
like,
got his style. But back in the day, you could see Brian Blyther boost a half pipe or a quarter pipe, and you knew that's Brian Blyther without question. He's just had
We also
his
look
own
sponsored.
style.
Mike
Dominguez
Dominguez,
had his own
myself.
style. Eddie Fiola definitely had his own style. It always went back and forth, kind of when they would have the King of the Skate Park series.
I actually
back in the
found,
day.
I think, I'm pretty sure that Shad from Snakebite BMX put a video of Fiola, Dominguez, and Blyther having a high air contest. He
Oh,
said
I
it was like the
wouldn't-
first high
yeah.
air contest. I'm pretty confident it was.
Yeah, and the
that
high
good
air
from what I
contest
remember.
was
So
so
it's
hard to
wild
judge
you mentioned
because,
those three.
you know,
So, like, I would see,
you're
like, those
going off of
competitions, like, where the
somebody
higher was, they
that's
had that
looking
really
and
crazy
judging,
concrete
and
skate park. I feel
then you
like
have
that's, like,
somebody
where they filmed,
taking
like, some of those
photos
credits
and,
ref.
you know, a
There-
split
the
second
two
can
big
go
skate
by
parks
and
back
one
in the
guy
day
could
were
be higher
Pipeline
than the other
and
guy,
Upland.
and that's
Okay.
what they're
And,
going off of.
Probably for a high air contest, I would say that was probably a Pipeline.
The one that
Where
had
they
the full pipe.
big full pipe.
Yeah, it had the full pipe.
Yeah.
That's a
It almost looked like it had a
14-foot
never-ending
pool.
half pipe in it too, like almost no flat bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's what
I
thought.
found out that that
literally
skate
a
park
bowl,
was
it
built
it
in
it was
6
literally
weeks.
like a circle cut.
It just
almost.
never
No
finished,
permits.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I
That's
pictured.
And
Yeah,
they
but
just
I've
built
heard-
it quick, and
I've
they
heard the
weren't
riders talk about it, and there
skate
was,
park builders. They were pool
It
builders.
wasn't completely smooth,
And it
there
wasn't
was definitely
smooth.
an area where you
There
wanted to
were
hit. where you
certain
wanted to
sections
play.
that
Oh,
were
really?
more
And you
vert
could-
and
it's
less
like,
vert.
if
And
you
that
watch the
particular
footage
pool had
from
no coping.
that
Like you
part,
see the
you
coping
can see,
behind these guys.
Like, it's noticeable.
This one had no
this is the
coping.
line.
Well, I guess if you think about it,
This is where the riders
that
go.
was the first like skate park.
So you know, you have to know
Yeah,
exactly
nothing
where to
base
take
it
off.
of.
And you can pretty much
Straight
see
up,
too, if you
straight
watch
down.
like the old contest footage from the Pipeline, and you see where they're dropping in and where they're airing out. They're all
They're
pretty
all at the
much
same spot.
yeah, at least for their highest airs.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll go. Some people will go to opposite sides. Usually they'll kind of fly out, do maybe a 270 fly out or something off to a side, and then drop into the full pipe or
Because
whatever.
like there's still skate parks nowadays where they're making, and you're like, man, this thing feels like
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it would only make sense that they wouldn't be perfect. So Eddie Fiola,
Uh-oh.
I met Eddie in 2005 when I was actually filming a movie called Stick It. I was doing BMX tricks in it, and Eddie Fiola was the stunt like coordinator, director for it.
that makes sense.
So me as a kid,
I was
like
actually
I've
a
heard
stunt
of Eddie Fiola.
Grom.
didn't
I was helping
experience
out
him like you
because
did.
the stunt
Can you tell
coordinator
us
knew who
what
I
Eddie
was
Fiola
and what
was
I
like?
did. So he thought I could wrangle
Larger than
these
life.
guys
I
on,
mean,
on
he
what they
was-
needed to
I
do.
mean,
Because
yeah,
you know,
well, and it was
right-
crazy because I would see him riding, and he had a bike that had
skinny wheels.
like the wheels on it were like junior size, like junior racer size.
They were
like he had
1
like
and 3/8
3/8
or
tires
1
or
inch,
something on it.
1 by
And it was like,
3/8
What is
wide.
that all about? But I mean, Eddie is kind of short stature, so he's not a real
I'm not tall.
big, burly, tall
I look tall on my bike.
person, but
At least
he's
physically.
Physically, yeah, right.
I'm as
physically.
tall as
But,
Tom
I mean,
Cruise,
he's
let's just say
tough
that.
as nails when it comes to just. I mean, he's a stuntman
Yeah.
now for a living, so he's tough as nails when it comes to riding.
I can hit
And,
the ground like there's no tomorrow.
You know, some people say, I met this bike shop owner, and he asked me once, he's like, have you met Eddie Fiola? And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, I have. He's cocky. But I kind of figure he can back it up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
when
I'm
I've
going to
met-
say,
I've met
hey,
him
I
now
probably was
several
cocky
times,
back in the
and
day, and because I was riding, and I was
He-
on
he knows
top,
who he is.
and
It's
I
like
was
a
in the
confidence.
movie,
Yeah,
and
he's
I was
got
on the
confidence.
magazine
He knows
coverage.
who he is. He knows what he's capable of, and I don't see him as being cocky at all. I just see him as like
Like he was
he's confident.
he was
knows
kind
who he
of
is.
living of what he was. Like he was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
big of a deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
But I've never, I mean, when I've hung out with him, it's never felt like he's got that attitude of,
He just feels
I'm a
really
big
cool. Like he's
deal.
just like a really cool guy.
Right,
Like,
right.
he's very
Yeah.
just a cool,
I'm
confident
sure there's a
person.
lot of pride that comes into it too. Like when
Well, I
you know,
appreciate
go to a
all
lot of
your
things,
comments.
like, you gotta hold yourself.
It's earned pride for
Yeah,
sure,
that's what I'm
and
saying,
it's
yeah.
and it's also expected pride too that other people, because everybody like
Yeah.
when you see Eddie Fiola, you're like, that's Eddie Fiola. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like
Right.
It's how you
It's
would
like,
imagine Eddie Fiola to
man,
be.
and there's so many writers that I feel that way about, and that we'll be talking about today.
Yeah.
But he's definitely, I mean, when I first started writing and getting into it, reading magazines and just absorbing everything I could that had to do with BMX, freestyle, and originally I wanted to race, and I wanted to be a BMX racer, and my mom said, No, I'm really not interested in going to the track every weekend, hanging out all day, paying an entry fee for you to race.
Not sure if they're going to talk about me anymore on this video, but if you guys want to see the complete video, make sure that you go to, the Scotty Kramer YouTube channel. Check it out. He's got a bunch of videos. But they're talking about me having an attitude, and I probably did, and I was sponsored by the top name company, GT. GT was the leader of freestyle. We designed one of the very first freestyle frames, Bob Morales and myself, and GT was the kind of on the forefront of everything, and everybody else jumped on back. They jumped on the bandwagon, and they tried to follow suit and make a BMX frame, make things that they would think that would work out doing freestyle, and they went to some extremes. Some of the companies, putting handles where they didn't really need handles, and putting pegs and bigger pegs and doing things. But I think when GT first came out with their freestyle program, it just made such an impact. It was great because when you raced, you went to the BMX track, and if you had a race bike, that's where you had to go. You either had to go to a racetrack or ride up and down the street as fast as you can. But with freestyle, you go to your friend's house, you knock on the door, they come out, you flatland right there in front of their house, or you ride down the street and you find some more friends and you flatland over in their house, or you find a parking lot. You can flatland or do freestyle anywhere. Find some dirt jumps. There's a lot of stuff you can do when freestyle came out, and I just, think it was a really good deal for GT that they did that. So anyhow, don't forget, subscribe, hit the like button, do all that cool stuff. Check out Scotty's YouTube channel, and thanks for mentioning me. And I'm gonna say at one time I was cocky. Anyhow, Scotty, maybe we can do a video together, and you can interview me, or I can interview you, and we'll collab on our YouTube channels. All right, we'll talk to you guys.